Hi everyone. Tonight for homework you were asked to label your Midwest political map. To do this assignment you're going to need a couple of things. First, you're going to need your social studies book. You're also going to need the 2 sheets I gave you in class. If you happen to lose them or forgot to bring them home, no biggie. Just go on Edline and download and print off copies. You're also going to need crayons or colored pencils. You're going to need your pencil. And I recommend a Sharpie, but this actually isn't required. It's just going to enhance your map. So we're going to start by reading the directions at the top of the page that says Key Midwest Political Map. The directions say, label the following states on your outline map of the Midwest using the numbers as symbols. Then write in their capitals below. Color each state a different shade using colored pencils or crayons. In this flipped lesson, I'm going to go step by step through the directions. I realize for some of you it's going to be a perfect pace, but I do recognize that for others the pace may be a little too slow. These would be the people who already know the states and capitals of the Midwest. If you fall into this category, feel free to fast forward through the video. Feel free to go at your own pace. You don't have to stay with me. However, tomorrow you are still responsible for coming in with a Midwest political map that is correctly labeled. Those of you sticking with me, just a reminder that with these flipped lessons, feel free to pause, rewind as necessary. This lesson is for you to learn from, so there's nothing wrong with fast forwarding, rewinding, pausing as needed. Okay, so let's start. First, it says label the following states on your outline map of the Midwest using the numbers as symbols. So, if you take a look at your sheet, we have 12 states to identify. Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, and Kansas. I'm going to use the map in our book as a reference. I'm going to find Ohio on the political map of the United States in our textbook. I'm going to then find it on our map. We're going to label it with a big number 1. The reason we're not putting the names of the state in the map are because 1, it's sometimes tough to fit the names of the states in the map, and number 2, now we have a good study tool. Okay, let's keep it going. State number 2 is Michigan. I find it on my political map, the United States in the book. I find it again on the map. I put a number 2 in Michigan. Indiana is number 3. It's purple in our book. I find it on our map. I put a big 3. Again, if you need to pause or rewind, that's totally fine. Our next state is Wisconsin. That takes a 4. Okay, I find it in my book. I find it on my map. I make a big, go figure, big number 4. Okay, next state is Illinois. Okay, it's a 5. I find it in my book. I find it again on the map. I put a big 5 there. Minnesota is 6. I find it in my book, find it on the map. It's just west of Wisconsin. I'm going to put a 6 in there. Iowa is our next state. Find it in the book, on the map. I put a 7 there. Missouri is state number 8. I find it just south of Iowa in the book. I'm going to put a big 8. Little tip, a lot of people get confused because a river cuts through the state. Doesn't mean it's 2 states, it's still just 1. It's just divided by a river. 4 more to go. We have North Dakota as state number 9. So I'm going to put a big 9 in North Dakota. South Dakota is 10. Find it in the book. Find it on my map. I put a 10. Nebraska is state number 11. It is just south of South Dakota. So I'm going to put an 11. And Kansas is state number 12. I find it in my book. I find it on my map. And I label it as such. Now, here's a little thing I learned from other students. One of the things that can make your map easier to use is to actually put a Sharpie over the number. So I'm going to do that now. This is completely optional. But I have to say, after years of doing this, it definitely enhances your map. Okay, so just give me a second. You can also do this step while you're coloring, but I'm just going to do it now because it'll make it easier for you to see the final map. All right, step number 1 done. I'm just going to hold it up so you can double check you have the states labeled correctly. Again, I know I've said this a couple times, but we're just getting used to these flip lessons. If you want to pause right here and double check things, that's totally fine. If you were somebody who knew all the states right away, feel free to just use this moment to just check your work. Okay, now we're going to move on to the capitals. A little bit trickier of a step. Remember, capitals in our book are identified with stars. So you're going to see stars all over the map. We're looking for the starred cities. All right, going to start with Ohio. Ohio's capital is Columbus. I see the star, so on the line, I'm going to write out Columbus. I'm going to spell it out loud too. Capital C-O-L-U-M-B-U-S. Just a reminder, all of our capitals start with a capital letter. Michigan's capital is Lansing. L-A-N-S-I-N-G. Indiana's capital, Indianapolis. I know, funny. I-N-D-I-A-N-A-P-O-L-I-S. Wisconsin's capital, Madison. A lot of people think Milwaukee because that is a close city. It's not. Madison is the capital. M-A-D-I-S-O-N. Illinois' capital, Springfield. One word. S-P-R-I-N-G-F-I-E-L-D. Reminder, capitals start with capital letters. Minnesota's capital, St. Paul. S-T period, space, P-A-U-L. Iowa's capital, Des Moines. D-E-S space M-O-I-N-E-S. It's French, so you don't pronounce the last letter of the words. Moving on, Missouri. Capital, Jefferson City. J-E-F-F-E-R-S-O-N space C-I-T-Y. Final four, North Dakota's capital, Bismarck. B-I-S-M-A-R-C-K. A lot of people forget the C. Make sure you copy carefully. South Dakota's capital, I'm looking in my map, Pierre. P-I-E-R-R-E. You're going to notice a lot of French influence in the Midwest. We'll go into that when we get into history, but quick story is Canada was settled by the French. The British eventually took over. A lot of the French started moving south into today's United States. All right, 2 more to go. Nebraska's capital, Lincoln. L-I-N-C-O-L-N. And finally, Kansas's capital, Topeka. T-O-P-E-K-A. So I'm just going to hold this up. Again, perfect time to pause, check your work. If you were somebody who went at your own pace, this is a great spot in the video to now go back and check if you actually did know all of your Midwest capitals. Feel free to pause as necessary. And again, if you wanted to rewind and go back and do it again, totally fine. Okay, our last step is simply to color each state a different color using colored pencils or crayons. So I have my crayons here. I'm not going to make you watch me color all 12 states, although I'm sure you'd love to do that. Instead, I'm just going to show you what I mean. Shade in the state very lightly. Okay, again, using colored pencils or crayons, no markers on map. And remember our rule about coloring. The colors can repeat, they just cannot touch if they repeat. So for example, I can't make state number 3, Indiana, green as well, but I can make Kansas green. You may be wondering about state number 4, Wisconsin, can I make that green? I say no. Make it a different color. I'm choosing yellow. Even though there's water there, we still want to use a different color. So there's your flipped lesson on the Midwest political map. For tomorrow, you need to have this map labeled with numbers, all 12 states correctly labeled. You need to have all 12 capitals correctly identified and spelled properly. And then finally, all 12 states need to be colored. Remember, colored pencils or crayons. Colors can be repeated, they just can't touch. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.